We're here with Richard Gale, new IFBB Pro. What does it feel like to be an IFBB Pro now, Richard?
Honestly, Scott, it's on top of the world. I never imagined this would come to fruition. And it's like I'm still on cloud nine and I'm not coming off. So it feels amazing.
Amazing. Now, I understand that you weren't even planning on going into the open class into this show. It obviously in Masters, you were looking at being in classic men's physique. Is that right?
That's correct. I had planned to be classic physique entering master's class over 40, not really knowing that you still had to meet the classic criteria. So when I checked in weight, I was 187. So they're like, you're overweight. You have time five pounds to make the weight cut. So I'm like frustrated. I'm depleted. I'm like, that's it. I've had enough. I want a refund. And something came over me. It was just like, I can't do this no more. And Ron came over and like, what's happening? Ron Hache. And he's like, Rich, what's going on? I'm like, I want to pull out of the show. He's like, why? I'm like, I didn't make weight and I want to do classic. He's like, you look phenomenal. Why don't you do bodybuilding? I never looked at myself as a bodybuilder. I looked at myself as a person building a better body. Yes, but when I think of bodybuilding, I think of guys that are massive and I didn't feel it. So I can't do this. And he goes, think it over. So I went for a walk, came back and I entered and the rest is history.
Well, that is quite a story. Okay, so we're going to cut now through to some of the footage that we have here, obviously, and we're going to play the video of you doing your posing routine. Okay, so there you're coming out. What were you feeling at this point? I mean, a very artistic posing routine. You obviously spent some time working on it. Did you remember much of it?
I do actually. The reason why I chose this song is to give all praise to my dad who passed away, who wanted me, I know, to do the show and felt that it was a great tribute to him. And while I was on stage, I was just thinking about us going through our times playing sports and just having fun and just show my presentation on stage. And that was me paying homage to him.
That's a really, really great story. And I mean, when you were going through at this stage, did you think you had any chance of actually winning the show?
Oh, my God. If I was a betting man, I would have bet 1,000% that I had no chance of winning the show. Not even thinking of a pro card. No shot.
Wow. Well, you definitely surprised yourself, obviously. And now we're going to go back here a little bit on the muscleinsider.com website. We've got a profile for you here. And this was a journey that started in 2013 in Ottawa Classic, where you won the overall, went on to compete the same year in London, Ontario, and further CBF Nationals in 2016. Caribbean Classic, where you competed in the Caribbean?
Yes, that's when I said I'm going to do classic. I went to enter, and so I went to Bermuda, entered the class, came second in Masters, and that was my itch. I always wanted to do an international show. I just felt that I was ready. I wanted to get experience. And when I went down there and seeing the guy who won, I knew right away he was a clear winner, but it motivated me to come back hungry. So I booked. I'm like, I'm coming back here next year. That's the plan, to come back here.
And then you obviously went into President's Cup, and then you obviously did the Canadian National Pro Qualifier, Canadian Pro Qualifier, and obviously you are here now, an IFBB Pro. So now going through this further, what are we looking at in terms of your plans for competing in the next year?
That's a very good question, Scott. I always said to myself, to be honest, I never thought about becoming a pro. When I first started, it was just, I love to entertain the crowd. And my good friend, close friend, and boy, Edwards, when I first seen him at the Toronto Pro, I'm like, I want to be on the stage one day. And he goes, you got to become a pro. And I said, if I ever become a pro, my first show I want to do is for my home city, Toronto. So it's Toronto Pro, rock it and roll it.
There we go. Richard Gale is putting it on the line. Toronto Pro Show 2022. He's going to be there. And I see that you're wearing a mutant show, a shirt over there. part of the Mutant
Yep.
Squad, the Mutant Nation. They make some great products. In fact, I've got the giant jug here myself, and the steel
Same here.
steel shaker. Oh, you got the steel
Yeah.
shaker too. Yeah, they make great products that taste great. So definitely really great to see you with Mutant. How's that been so far for you?
Wow. To be honest, like a family. The slogan is perfect, leave humanity behind, and it's like perfect fit. I was embraced by the team right away and felt at home. And I loved Mutant products since way back in the days. I believe when it was like Ronaldo Gary was there and
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
hired, I'm like, I want the clothing. I just started wearing the pants and shirt, and look what happens now. Down the road, I'm part of Mutant. So it's a great experience, and I love the products.
Amazing. Okay, well, listen, thank you very much for taking the time for us. I know it's busy, and we really appreciate it. And congratulations, and we wish you all the best in the IFBB Pro League now.
Thank you so much, Scott. Appreciate it. And Muslim try to keep doing a great job for the support. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. We're here with Morgan McDonald, new IFBB Pro, right from the Canadian National Pro Qualifier. What's it feel like to be a IFBB Pro now?
Honestly, it's been taking a while to sink in. I don't know if it's fully like sunken in yet, but yeah, obviously it feels amazing. It's something I've been working towards for like 9 years, pretty much straight. So for it to, finally come to fruition, it definitely feels pretty amazing.
Now, you were hard and grainy up there. What was your contest weight?
I was right around 265.
265 on stage. And what is your height?
I'm 6'2".
Okay, all right. He's a larger athlete, obviously taller athlete, but you filled it out well. You didn't have that sort of tall man syndrome that some guys get. You had a lot of muscle on that body. The 265, that's incredible. Let me just go through a share screen function here, and we're going to go back a little bit and see. You've got a contest history here. You started off in the Newfoundland Laboratory, NLABBA in 2013, as you mentioned, a long time ago, 2014, 15, 17, 17, 18. In 2018, you were 8th place at the Canadian Nationals. And then you took off what looked like 3 years to do this show. Now, that's impressive, very impressive. Like, what made you decide to come back?
Well, to me, it wasn't really a comeback at all. Like I didn't take any time off. As soon as I stepped off stage in 2018, like I knew exactly what I had to do and the improvements I had to make. And the first thing was, getting a good coach to work with in the off season, because that's something I hadn't done before.
Yeah.
I always just kind of try to do my off seasons myself, and it's easy to kind of get sidetracked when you're not getting ready for a show. So just having the accountability to a coach over that 3-year span from 2018 to 2021, we were super focused, and I basically felt like I had been in prep for the 3 years by the time contest prep actually rolled around. So just by doing that, we were able to put on a lot of muscle, especially on my upper body. The legs were something I kind of always had even early in my career, but when we brought up my upper body to match, especially like my back and arms, probably more so than anything, then I was just more proportionate, had a more complete look. And that's when I knew like it was time to, compete again and kind of see the progress that we made. And obviously it was the right decision because things went pretty well this year with, three wins and the last one getting my pro card. So yeah, it all worked out.
Yeah, you did. This would be your 4th show, but you won 3 shows in the amateur stream this year to qualify for this show. And then you come in and win, obviously, your IFBB Pro card. Now, would you say that competing that many times, I mean, some people would say that could be detrimental, but did you find that your conditioning actually improved? Because, I mean, looking at the pictures, you had a really incredible thin skin to you. I mean, conditioning, you can see the striations on the hamstrings, clear separation on the legs, upper chest, top, lots of striations there, thin skin in the obviously the thigh rods, and yeah, just overall incredible striations in the pecs. Just, I mean, there's that paper thin skin usually comes with muscle maturity. You have a lot of muscle maturity, but also with doing 4 shows. do you feel that that helped maybe tighten you up, or were you just as ripped at the last show this year?
Oh no, definitely not. The first show I did was back July 10th, and I came to that show almost 10 pounds heavier than I was at nationals. And we just tried a few different things, and it didn't really work out. I still ended up doing pretty good with the show, but it definitely wasn't the look that we wanted. It wasn't hard enough. And then I had competed a week later at the Newfoundland provincial show. Even though I didn't need to, I had already got my qualification, but I kind of just wanted to experiment because like the ultimate goal was finding the best look for nationals. So in like 1 week, I ended up dropping like 6 pounds, and then we kind of handled like the water cut a little bit differently, and we brought a better look to that show. But even then, we still knew that we could be more conditioned and could be drier. So yeah, then we basically just focused on staying in shape for the entire 8 weeks in between that Newfoundland show and nationals. And that, it was a very strange 8 weeks, because for me to get into the shape I had to for those first 2 shows I did, like my food got pretty low, cardio got pretty high, like, you know, kind of had to suffer to get there. But then coming out of those shows, I started to be able to actually like eat a lot more food and do a lot less cardio. And I guess just because I was in contest shape for so long, my metabolism was just on fire. My body was like utilizing food very, very well. And I mean, I was eating like 2 or 3 cheat meals a week the last couple of weeks going into nationals. So that ended up, you know, I guess helping my muscles stay full. My training performance stayed really high. And just combining that with being in condition for so long, I ended up like essentially peaking for nationals, and I was able to bring that like super dry look and ended up being peeled and having my best condition ever. So yeah, it worked out really well.
Because these photos here in the locker room are 3 weeks out, which you're absolutely shredded. Some would say contest ready at this point. And that's 268.8 pounds, so almost 270 pounds. Incredible. So yeah, your conditioning was well ahead of schedule. So you definitely didn't deviate. Now let's go through this now. We're going to go to some of the footage of you at the nationals here at the Canadian Pro Qualifier. Let's take a look. Just 1 second. Yeah. There you are. What was going through your head at this point? You've been called the winner, getting the handshake here.
Yeah, it was a massive relief, honestly. It really was, because like you said, it was so much like leading up to that. And even for like the show to actually like happen, especially with like obviously the pandemic and everything like that, like, you know, there was just so much. And yeah, I just kind of remembered just waiting for them to say my number. And when I heard it, it was just like unbelievable. Like, you know, there really are no words. Like, that's a feeling like that. I remember when I decided I wanted to like chase the pro card, and like I decided that after my first show. And like, I know a lot of people do a show and they say, oh, I want to be a pro, and it kind of fades off. But like for me, it never did. Like it was really what I wanted and chased for a very long time. So, and because of that, like, you know, I basically thought about that moment every day for 8 years. And then when you're finally in it, I mean, you know, I was speechless. And yeah, can't really find words to explain, but it was definitely amazing.
It's amazing that just covering the sport of bodybuilding like we have for so many years, you get a lot of favorites, and especially with Instagram, you see all the filters added to different physiques, and there's a lot of hype that comes up with some of the newer people in the industry that are competing now. And because of you grew up in the old regimen where you might have to do a provincial qualifier, then you may have to do a Eastern Canadian qualifier, or you have to go to you have to work your way up to a nationals at that time, and then you have to place, or you kind of get moved down. And it was a lot more competitive. Very few pro cards were given out at that time. But now it's a lot easier, some would say, to turn pro. Now, the other side is you have more people in it, you have more interest, you know, so there's obviously that, there's COVID restrictions, and there's so much there. But with, you're one of those people that come out of the woodwork. People don't see them coming, you know, because they haven't been at a national stage in, say, 3 years. But you get somebody who's been training like that for that long at a national caliber, and then they're fine tuning the rhomboids, so they're improving their balance. They're maybe bringing up the soleus to match the gastrocnemius, or things like that. That muscle maturity, the density in the back. There, a lot of guys can get width in the first few years if they have great genetics, but getting that thickness takes years, no matter how much juice is used, no matter what exercise you do. It takes a lot of years to bring up those physiques. And if you look at some of the top guys in the industry, like Ian Valliere and people like that, they've been rowing for years and years and years to get that kind of level of physique. You have an incredible amount of muscle maturity. What is next for you now that you are an IFBB pro and you have to compete now in the IFBB Pro League, given that you're almost 270 pounds on stage? What are your plans now?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have I think I have the structure. I think I have certain body parts that are like pro level now, especially like my legs and glutes too. It's too bad we didn't have any back shots there, because I think my glutes were probably my most impressive on stage there. But yeah, I know I definitely need time to improve, because I could jump into a pro show and probably do okay, but I definitely want to make an impact my first pro show. And I was lucky enough to get the head judge's feedback right after the show. And it's not some body parts I need to bring up, like my shoulders, my arms, and I think I could still even more thickness in my back, especially just being a taller guy. You can never have a thick enough back. You can never have a dense enough back. So that's something I want to bring up a bit more too. But also my presentation, I think, needs a lot of work. I would honestly say that my presentation and posing is mediocre at an amateur level. And it needs to be good at a pro level before I think I'd be ready and confident enough to step on stage. Because like I said, I want to make an impact when I do my first pro show. And because my ultimate goal now is to get to the Olympia. So we're going to start working towards that, pretty soon. I definitely need a good amount of off-season time. But I will say that as of right now, I think that they're going to bring back the Vancouver Pro Show at the end of next year. From what I've heard. So that would line up perfectly with when I think I'd be ready to compete. So as of now, that's kind of where I have my sights set. But at the same time, we're going to be getting serious pretty soon. And if I can make the progress that I think I need to make in those areas, and there's something comes up and things are going well, I could maybe jump into something earlier than that. But that's something that me and my coach will obviously decide as we go, down the road of just making progress and trying to get better.
Okay, so now obviously this is it. A lot has happened here. How is your family and friends? I mean, they must be just blown away. I mean, what was it like when you got home?
Yeah, well, I mean, we got home yesterday afternoon. We stayed a little extra time in Toronto. Yeah. So right away, went out to dinner with the family and stuff. And it was just so good to, be able to spend time with them, because that was one thing about this prep where I was in it for so long and had to hold that conditioning for so long. There was weeks at a time where I didn't see anybody, where I really had to isolate myself and just kind of live the lifestyle of eating, training, resting as much as I could, and things like that. So yeah, I mean, it's excellent. And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to the next 2 or 3 weeks for sure, is just spending time with my friends, spending time with my family that I've missed out on. Because essentially I've been in prep since April. So it's been right around 7 months of prep for me. So I kind of owe it to those people, because, even though I didn't have much time for them throughout this process, whenever I needed them, they were there for me. And I certainly do have a really strong support system. So yeah, I owe it to them to, celebrate this, because it's how it is in bodybuilding. It's not just a victory for you. It's a victory for everyone that kind of helped you get to where you are, because you can't do this by yourself. It's just, it would be almost impossible. So yeah, so that's definitely my plan for the next 2 or 3 weeks. But then, like I said, I'm looking forward to getting back to work and kind of working towards a pro stage and making an impact for sure.
Well, there you have it. Thanks very much for taking some time with us. We really appreciate it. And obviously, keep on growing. It's going to be great to see another super heavyweight coming out of Canada now to make some noise, to join the already good talent that we have. Thanks again for all your time. We're here with a Derelict, new IFBB Pro. How does it feel? You won the bikini class D, then you won the overall. What is going through your head at this point?
Oh man, it's surreal. Honestly, it still hasn't even really hit me. I mean, waking up this morning, I was like, I can't believe that actually happened. It's, you know, you dream about it, you think about it, but when it actually happens, and then you just kind of, you're there and it's reality, and you're like, okay, wow, I did it. Like I can breathe almost now. But it's just been an amazing couple of days taking it all in and the whole experience.
Now, you came obviously from Winnipeg, Manitoba, came in here to compete in your very first show, which was the President's Cup, which happened to take place on the Friday. Then you peaked into that show, you won. Next day, you get the chance to go for your pro card and you win that as well. I mean, this is 2 shows and you're it. I mean, what is that? I mean, did you expect going into that this was kind of be the outcome?
I mean, my coach had a lot of faith in me. You know, and he has a really good eye for bikini, and he said, you know, you have really great potential and the genetics to go pro. So, I mean, when he first told me that, I actually thought he was joking. No, there's no way. Me, like, what are you talking about? But as like the prep went on, and you know, I fell in love with it, and I started to see the progress, and I started to actually believe that maybe I could do it.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously going into it, you don't want to assume anything like that, but it, yeah, it was definitely almost like a shock that I was actually able to do it, because like you said, it was my first show on the Friday. And then to be able to go for the pro card the very next day and it's a dream to me.
Now, I mean, phenomenal lean midsection, great shoulder development, hamstrings are popping right there. I mean, you have an athletic background, because this is your first contest regardless. Like, it's not like you came from another federation and now you competed and you turned pro, but have you always had an athletic background?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I was in all sorts of sports. Like I played soccer and I did triathlons growing up, and I was really into dance for about 15 years. I was a competitive dancer. So I think, you know, I had a good sports background. And then when I turned like 18, 19 is when I started to get into the gym, and I fell in love with the weight training aspect, and it just kind of went from there, where I just loved training and I did it for fun. So
Okay. And obviously James at Team Atlas, he obviously gave you the encouragement and obviously worked with your diet and your training to have you peak into the condition for this. What are your plans now that you're an IFBB pro? What are your next plans?
So we talked about it, me and James, and I need to grow a little bit in my upper body, I think, and my glutes still. So we're gonna take an off season and just work on some of those points, and then we're hoping to do my debut sometime next year, depending on, you know, what I'm able to achieve in the off season.
Okay. Just looking at your Instagram profile here. We got some great photos here. A lot of good training. If anybody wants to check it out, this is a really good place to go. You've got some great updates here. And we expect, obviously, your Instagram following, I'm sure, is going to improve drastically after this show. But no, this is really great. Thank you very much. Obviously, you're with HD Muscle as well. So good shout out to them for supplying you with the products. And they were a sponsor of the President's Cup as well, I'm sure, at the whole weekend event. So really great to see them supporting the show and supporting athletes like yourself. So listen, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us. It's great to see that you're obviously doing what you love. And now you fly back to Winnipeg. I mean, the family must be pretty happy back home.
Oh yeah, they're thrilled. I was so fortunate they came with me to the show. They've been like my biggest supporters through this whole thing, and just so excited. They've always encouraged me with fitness and anything sports related. So they're super happy, and everybody back home is excited to see me as well, and for all of that when I get back there.
Right. The gun show, obviously, it's bikini, but you still got to show some muscle. Let's see some muscle.
Like this.
We're here with Sarah Bow, IFBB Pro. What does that feel like now to be an IFBB Pro?
Oh my goodness. I think it still hasn't even hit me. I mean, it's been like 48 hours and it's still rolling in, but it's been an absolutely phenomenal experience to go through, and it was just more than I ever could have ever hoped it would be. So it's been fantastic so far. Yeah, very exciting.
I mean, when they announced your name, were you like, no, or were you kind of knowing
Honestly,
where you were?
that's exactly what happened. It was, and it was the actually, I mean, no shade to the judges, but I think they forgot. So they did my class, my master's class, and did the medal ceremony, and I got my first place medal. We all filed off, and it wasn't until I came back around to backstage to meet my coach, Darren.
Yep.
And it was like, isn't there supposed to be a pro card awarded? And I was like, I don't know. I was pretty excited to get a gold medal and win first place. So I was like, I'm happy. And then he went off and then talked to somebody else and came back, and he's just like, you did it, Strongbow, you did it. And I was just like, what? No, wait, no. And then I think I sat there for a while. I'm like, no, not until I have the thing in my hands. It's not real till I have the thing in my hands. And so I stood backstage, and I was just like, no, just leave me alone. I need to wait. Let me wait till it happens. And then they did it, and it was fantastic. Yeah.
Oh man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, taking us through here, this is not your first show. Obviously, we have a profile at muscleandsetter.com on you, but you got your start obviously back in the Maba province provincial show, 2013. Worked your way through, competed a few different provinces, obviously Saskatchewan we've got here, some of the other spots. NBC North Americans in 2021, that was just a few weeks back, would have been a massive show.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you? And how did you use that to sort of propel you into this show?
So the NBC North Americans was a show I had been wanting to do for a number of years, just knowing its reputation of being very well run. I mean, just being, international and such a large, high profile event, it was something that was kind of on my bucket list, and was finally able to make it happen this year. And it was a phenomenal experience, probably one of the best competing experiences I've had in my competing career. So well run, like very low stress. And I had an absolute blast. And my goal going into that show, being my first international experience, was like, I wanted to just felt like I belonged. I wanted to feel like I was competitive, to be, in some of the top placings, however that actually happened to land. And I ended up placing 5th in my open class and 3rd in my master's class. And I was ecstatic with that. It was such a wonderful experience for my first international show.
Okay, and then we've got going through, I mean, we've seen some of your journey here on your Instagram stories.
Yeah.
Sort of taking in all of the Toronto sites from the Hockey Hall of Fame onward. Oh, yeah. And we had some
it was good.
This is good. Now, in terms of looking at your physique, obviously you're a veteran competitor, been training with Freak Fitness now. Great physique development. Obviously, shoulders are standout body parts, striated glutes, great separation, good tricep mass in the long head, nice V taper, thanks to obviously the shoulder width that's here. What was it? What was the goals for you with Freak Fitness competing into this show?
Well, I think that since my transition from figure to women's physique was a lot more balanced from upper to lower body, as most female competitors have that, that kind of constant struggle of having upper body match the lower body.
Sure.
Delts is something I put a lot of focus on. Putting some thickness in my back was another thing. But probably the thing I struggled the most with, honestly, was my legs. Was having the appropriate conditioning for my legs, and being able to get, that really nice separation in the quads, and having good, really good defined like glute ham tie-in, that kind of thing. And it was a lot of, experimenting with, different training methodologies, different types of cardio and things, to be able to really achieve the look that I was able to present this past weekend. And then something that I worked really, really hard on this past year. And I was very happy with the result that I was able to present.
Amazing. Okay. So, I mean, you obviously are in condition. You've had a few cheat meals, some of the ice cream delights we've seen.
Oh, yeah.
But now that you are an IFBB pro, what are your contest plans for either this year or perhaps next year?
Yeah, so I haven't officially declared anything. I only just got home today from my, taking a few days off, and haven't discussed anything with Darren officially just yet. But a pro debut is definitely in the future. May not be this year, competing twice in a row. It's taxing on the body, as anybody knows, and having not just this year, but especially last year, having a few very prolonged preps, with shows being delayed and canceled and changing plans. So, having my body be in essentially prep mode for longer than, would be typical. I feel, it is, a mark of any good athlete to be able to take the appropriate time to rest and recover so that you can, just come back bigger, better, and stronger for the next time, because you want your pro debut to be just as memorable as your pro card win. So
what's the show? What's the show? I mean, that was a long, I want to delay.
I feel that it is only appropriate to make a pro debut in Canada. So I'm going to say probably the Toronto Pro.
Sure.
I know this year it's coming up very soon in December, so it probably won't be this year, but that's kind of the show that I'd like to do. I've attended it numerous times as a spectator, and I've seen many athletes that I know, friends of mine, that have earned their pro cards and then gone on to do that show as well. So, it seems a little fitting to have my first pro debut be in my home country. So I think that's chances are good. That will be the plan.
Fantastic. Listen, Sarah, thanks so much for taking some time, and congratulations now on your win.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it very much.
Okay, all the best. Edwin Abboulian, or shall I say IFBB Pro, Edwin Abboulian. How are you doing today? Congratulations.
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Now, listen, this whole journey started in 2015. You're not just a first-time competitor, but you've been at it for a little while. But what was it like to cross that stage and hear your name announced as the winner and new IFBB Pro card holder?
It was pretty amazing. Hard to, grab it at that moment, but it was definitely an exciting moment.
Okay, and in terms of some of the shows this year, earlier you actually did the North American Championships, though this was not your first time competing this year. But how did you find that helped you or hurt you? Did you find that what was your experience with that?
It was I would say, after the results of the show in National Pro Qualifier, I definitely became, it didn't hurt me. It prepared me for a better challenge.
Okay.
Definitely was it was a good experience, came in with a much tighter package.
Okay. Well, it must have been a lot of competitors, obviously, at the North Americans.
Yes, there was definitely more competitors, more challenge, interesting.
Okay. Now, in terms of the conditioning on this, you obviously have been at it for quite some time, but you were one of those guys, men's physique guys, that defy the, hey, he doesn't have legs. I mean, you got some big legs there for a men's physique competitor, and obviously in the masters category, very phenomenal overall physique. So good on you. How long have you been training for?
Thank you. I've been training for probably since I was 18. Switched myself from martial arts into bodybuilding. And the men's physique, it was way later in my life, but definitely training for a long time. Okay.
And then in terms of contest history, obviously, as I said earlier, this journey started in 2015. You were at the 2016 Toronto Pro Super Show. You've done the Nationals in 2017, 2018, Diamond Cup over, where was the Diamond Cup? Is that over in Europe or something?
Diamond Cup was held in Montreal.
Oh, in Montreal. Okay, good. Yes. And then obviously 2019 over in the CPA with the Toronto Pro Super Show and North Americans, but it finishes off with the best show for you, which is the Canadian National Pro Qualifier, and you ended up winning your pro card. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Now, in terms of what everyone's going to ask is, now that you've achieved this milestone, you being in the IFBB Pro League, what are your contest plans for this year or next year? What are your plans?
Definitely, I'm looking forward for this year. But I definitely have to make a decision myself and with my coach. But we're most likely we are going to aim for Toronto Pro or Toronto Super Show Pro, and probably if not, it'll be the Pittsburgh Masters.
Good, very good show. Now, what do you feel you have to work on now that you're going into the Pro League?
The Pro League, I think it'd be much more. Definitely, I got to put a little bit more size and just more tighter package on a pro level. Even though I think I had a great package, but it needs just a step notch. And I got, everybody has their weaknesses, and I know where mine are. I'm going to fix those.
Amazing. So now you're on vacation. This is a post-contest celebration. Where are you? Did you travel? Or what is this? Just a vacation, a staycation? What are you doing?
I'm actually down in Jamaica right now. just to
So you must be like the most ripped person at the pool. Like, are you going walking around and people are like, who that? What the? How did the like? It's so funny because we all dream about that as kids, getting ripped, but to actually turn pro at that level and then show up at are you at like an all-inclusive resort or something?
It is an all-inclusive resort, and you know what? Everybody's comment is you're definitely not going back with the same look you came in. But a lot of positive talks, a lot of people ask questions. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, listen, Edwin, thank you very much for taking some time for us for your post-contest words. We really wish you all the best in the Pro League, and thanks again for everything today.
Thank you, Scott. Pleasure was mine.
Thank you, Edwin. Bye.